All right, I'm a little later leaving than I wanted to. It's about 3:15, but the current's still in my favor, and there's a nice breeze that's picked up, so it's time to go. Let's go. Well, use the engine to get going. It's all the current and traffic here, but underway sailing down the channel now. Definitely got tide in my favor here, making a nice pace. Get out of here. Get away from all the crazy pangas everywhere. Looking forward to a peaceful anchorage later on tonight. Well, it's definitely an interesting feeling setting sail on my own right now. After so much awesome sailing with Kat, all the way from Bellingham to here, with the exception of 20 miles from Morro Bay to San Luis Obispo, I've pretty much not really done any solo sailing. I did like 10 miles from Puerto Escondido to Juancalito, and I think that's kind of it. So it's been a lot of great sailing with people on board, and so this is my first solo sailing of any length since Alaska. I did a 10-day stint there just before I met Kat, actually. Weird feeling being all on my own. Obviously, when things get spicy, there's no one to help me reef, but I got all those skills in my back pocket. It'll probably be a little rusty as I get going, but I'm looking forward to it. I snuck out of the harbor here. I had to do a quick little tack because I was getting mighty close to that there oil tanker, and there was lots of traffic that I had to watch out for. But now I'm in the open here, and it seems like just right at the right time. The wind's just picking up from the west, so hoping I should set the hydrovane shortly and make myself some dinner. It's gonna be a lovely evening of sailing, and probably into the night because it looks just perfect to make some miles right now. Sailing is amazing, and the hydrovane's doing all the work. I'm just relaxing and doing my last little messages on the foam before I lose reception for the next 4 to 6 days. It's beautifully warm out, and I'm just really excited to be doing this journey right now while also deeply missing Kat. It's amazing having her on board and sharing these journeys together, but I'm also looking forward to this time to reflect on the last 4 or 5 months, 6 months of sailing on this beautiful boat in this beautiful ocean, and the last 3 months here in the Gulf of California. It's been incredible. This is an amazing place. Continued awesome sailing here as the sun sets and the moon rises. Seas are pretty choppy and steep, classic Gulf of California kind of stuff. Probably some current influence here, though the fetch is only about 15 miles, but that's enough for it to start to stack up when it's blowing 15, 20 knots. Probably blowing stronger over towards the land there as it piles in from the Pacific Ocean. But it got about 27 miles to my destination. I have a spot I could pull into about 10 miles ahead if I chose to, but with that moon coming up, I think it's just gonna be really great sailing and really easy visibility, so I'm gonna savor this and make up some miles right now. Well, in the rush of getting out of town, I didn't really set myself up a dinner that was easy to cook. So I'm just gonna have myself some eggs and tortillas, and that will suffice for tonight. I should be getting to my anchorage if this pace keeps up by around 11 o'clock or so. And then we'll just wanna go to sleep at that point, but I won't have to rush in the morning to get going. And it's a bit choppy out here though. Decent waves are smacking the side of the boat occasionally. Nothing crazy at all, but just a little sloshy, that's all. It is rip-roaring sailing here. I'm cruising along at 6.5 to 7 knots on a beam reach and only got about 12 miles or so to go, and it's about 10:45, so I've been making really good time ripping along in the night. I'll be going into an anchorage I've been to before, so I'm comfortable to do that in the dark. It's a really simple spot. There's no outlaying reefs, and it's just kind of wide open spot in the lee of Isla San Fransisco that will block this westerly wind wave that's quite significant. I mean, it's only about 2 to 3 feet waves, but they're steep and choppy and really powerful. Yeah, good sailing. Gonna keep on enjoying this, just listening to music and chilling out. All right, that was a fun sail. Super fast, and just at the very end the wind kind of faltered a little bit, but then it became really gusty. Now I'm anchored. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes there's these big gusts, probably about 20-25 knots. I ended up anchoring twice. I misjudged my swinging race and was way too close to some shallows. And then when I was pulling the anchor up, it brought up a fishing net too. So really lucky that I was able to just quickly cut it free, but also didn't end up with the anchor under the boat, which would have been really bad. But then I ended up anchoring in a different part of the bay, and I'm comfy and good now in nice sand away from the shore. So yeah, I was just trying to tuck in a little bit too aggressively to get out of the swell, but it's fine here where I'm at. There's a little bit of stuff wrapping around, but I'll sleep just fine. So yeah, that's a wrap tonight. It's breezy. Just popped my head out here and there's a sunrise and there was dolphins swimming right by. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, the wind has been pretty steady here, kind of out of the northwest now instead of just the west. Super gusty conditions here. It was pretty steady 30 for a while and started gusting probably 35. Now the wind's almost just calm with these gusts of 35 on some of them. We're just picking up the surface of the water and spraying it. I just had some spray up on the bow a second ago while I was checking the anchor snubber. So it's pretty classic westerlies, as I've been learning when I was up near Loreto and Juancalito. This is kind of similar conditions to what I experienced when there was westerly wind. Well, after a little drifting around, I'm underway, heading for Everest-o. So knowing how changeable and gusty these westerly winds here in Mexico can be, I have reefed nice and early, especially before I come into this channel up ahead here where there's a rock to watch out for and little islets and stuff. So I got the main reef down to the first reef and rolled in some Genoa too. I shook the reef and I'm just still carefully tacking through this little channel here. This rock right here is not on the charts. So you gotta be really careful in some areas in Mexico because that's it's definitely a rock. You know, otherwise, well, not exactly open channel. There's reefs and things around, so you're being cautious anyhow. But at higher tide, that thing might be under the water, which is super sketchy. Okay, I've been pretty darn patient, made 3 miles in about 2.5 hours, and the wind is not showing any indication it's going to pick up. I think what it'll probably do is just pick up from the west very strongly in the coming hour or two. So I'm going to kick the engine on and get myself across and get anchored. It's only 6 miles away and settle in for what is going to be a breezy night. It's really hazy today, and my guess is that it's due to the westerlies blowing across the peninsula and bringing along with it salt in the air from the Pacific and probably a lot of dust as well. Betting those winds are going to show up soon. It seems to be getting hazier and hazier right now. Well, with about 3 miles left, the westerly has started. I'm not going to start sailing because it's already about 20 knots. We went from 0 to 20 knots in a couple of minutes. And it could well crank up to more than that in my experience so far with these westerlies piling off the mountain. So I'm just going to get myself to anchor and not muck around. Yeah, here we go. All right, I'm anchored up. I anchored in about 25 feet of water and I got 150 feet of chain out. So really good scope to just deal with these big gusts that are supposed to come. Definitely a few boats in here compared to last time. I think I'm not the only one considering that this is the best spot in the area to deal with these gusty westerlies. And this little nook here seems like it'll be a better spot than just over here. I think these cliffs will offer some protection from the gusts. I'm hoping it doesn't actually accelerate them, but I think it's gonna be the spot. I'm just settling into the evening here on the boat. It's still sort of an adjustment period of being on the boat by myself. So something I do when I'm hanging a solo is make a big old meal, and then I don't have to worry about cooking it quite as much. I have lunch taken care of. But so far there's been some pretty good gusts of wind, but Nothing crazy yet. I'm hoping that the forecast was just amped up and it's not actually going to be a 45 knot gust tonight. But we shall see. It wasn't supposed to get up to that until around midnight or so. But I feel confident in my anchoring here, and there's no boats upwind of me, so I'm happy. This so reminds me of like sailing out into Johnstone Strait back in British Columbia. Just the usual northwesterly blowing, kind of protected in the bay with variable winds. So it looks like it's there's a pretty good breeze out here, so might have to reef. We'll see. Lots of white caps, and seas don't look so bad though. We're underway here. It's very variable. It's going from like needing like full canvas to really need to bring my jib down. So I think I'm gonna have to bring the jib in a ways to deal with these gusts. Don't want to be hailing over that hard. Just have the rail in the water there for a second. Yeah, so between gusts here, I'm gonna bring some Jeanneau in as well. A little stronger wind here. I better jump back on the helm. The hydro rain was doing some good work, but it's too gusty now. So I'm pretty sure the tide is running in my favor, but what it's doing is also making the waves quite a bit steeper and taller. So I don't know if it's like a net gain or loss. It's probably fairly neutral. But I'm making like, yeah, 5.5 over the ground right now, which is pretty good given the sea state and going close hauled. The angles have been quite good. I'm making a lot of good northerly progress, but going close hauled, it's slow going, especially when you have these seas from this long fetch of the Gulf of California. The bashing continues, but I'm making nice progress, good angle. It's changed in my favor quite a ways here, so pretty happy about that. I think it'll still be Los Gatos, but I sort of had this little bit of an idea of heading up all the way to Agua Verde, but I think that might be a bit too much of a push. The wind is veering to the north and to the northeast, I think, now. I did tack, but I'm pointing in a really good direction, right at Los Gatos now. I think I might be able to push a bit further, as I was mumbling about earlier. So, yeah, this is turning into a very good day. I was a little curious of what it was going to end up like with these seas that are so choppy and can slow you down if there's not much wind, but there's been just enough drive that's been keeping me going at least 4 knots, but more like 5 most of the day. Pretty sweet day sailing. I don't really come up to the bow too often. It's pretty nice up here though. There's our anchorage up ahead. Well, I just saw the strangest thing. There's a sailboat right over here that is motoring on this, what would be a beam reach for them. I don't get it. They're probably going slower than they would if they had their sails up. I guess sailing's not for everyone, even if you have a sailboat. Okay, rolling on an anchorage here, and there's one boat way out here that's just bumping around. I think I can tuck in quite a bit further and get out of the swell here. Anchored in about 11 feet, just so I could get out of the waves as much as possible. Maybe I could have snuck in a little bit further, but I was seeing some depths that were alarming me a little bit. So I'm happy with 11 feet, with a 2-3 feet increase coming up, and almost no depth I'll lose at low tide, so perfect spot here. That was a great day of sailing. I did not expect to make 40 miles today, so I'm really happy to have done that. I'm only about 25 or something miles left till Puerto Escondido, where I'll be able to see some people, take care of some internet stuff, load a video up for y'all, and do laundry and all that kind of stuff. It'll be my last kind of port before San Carlos, so looking forward to that. It is a beautiful morning here in San Marcel, but there's a nice little breeze blowing, so I'm gonna leave. I'll have to come back here next year and explore. It looks like some really nice hill walking around here, but I'm pretty keen to get a little further north and enjoy this breeze before a pretty strong northerly comes in tomorrow. So that'll be nice to get a little bit further north towards where I'm going. I think I'm gonna be able to slowly sail off the anchor here. There's just little wisps of breeze coming in, so I'll give it a try. Might have to turn the engine on and drive out, but we'll see. Well, quite a different start than yesterday. It's still blowing a little westerly, and it is gusty, but it's gusting from like 1 to 5 knots. So I'm just slowly sailing out of here. I did sail off the anchor. It was quite nice, quite easy. And I have to go around this reef that sticks out a little over half a mile off this point, and mostly submerged. So it's a sketchy one, so I'm giving it lots of room. You definitely have to be a lot more aware and self-sufficient when you're sailing here, because things like this very dangerous reef that's just barely below the surface, I can just see one little rock poking up right now, are not marked typically in Mexico, so you're on your own. There no doubt be a lighthouse and probably some buoys all around them, something like this if we're in Canada or the US, but that's what it's like here. Gotta be careful, real careful. I will take this. Just about to clear the reef here, or the allowance I'm giving it, and then I'll tack and start heading towards my destination. Okay, I got a shark. Figure out how to deal with this guy. I don't want to keep that. I guess just bury the hook, so I should be able to get it off the hook here. Gonna get some gloves and bigger pliers and then grab him. That was exciting. Back sailing again. So I rolled the Genoa in as soon as I got the fish on the line, just sort of slow the boat down, make it easier to reel in, and then you got gloves and pliers, and I was able to kind of lift it up just the pliers. I didn't know if this kind of shark had a spine at their tail, which the ones in British Columbia do, the spiny dogfish, and so I was hesitant to grab its tail and turn it upside down to get the weight off the hook, but it was sort of shaking and snapping, and I was able to get the hook out of its mouth just by with it trying to get off and me turning the hook upside down a bit. So it looked, obviously got a hook in his face, so it won't be unharmed, but it swam way strong, so it should be fine. It's been such a nice day of sailing. It's so gentle and sweet right now, but I'm going like 5.5 knots. Must be some current. Kind of tempting to keep going, but I'm looking forward to seeing a few folks around here and just enjoying these areas for the last couple of days before I don't see them for 7 months, something like that. And there's gonna be some southerly winds coming up, I think, in the forecast, so that's gonna be a really good way for me to go a little further north too. Well, what an awesome trip from La Paz up to Puerto Escondido here. I only have used the engine for maybe 2 hours in total, for about 120 miles. I'm very happy with that. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to hanging out here for a few days and just getting all re-provisioned and cleaned up and washing the boat down. It's super salty from that one day especially. Yeah, and working my way to some new terrain finally. It's been a little while, but I've really enjoyed the Loreto area. The La Paz area is great too, and it just feels exciting to go see some new stuff though. After covering some 120 miles in 4 days while sailing mostly close-hauled, I was quite happy to be in the well-protected and peaceful confines of Puerto Escondido once again. While easing back into solo sailing did feel easy, it was most certainly an adjustment. Coming up in the final episode that covers the spring sailing season, I continue my journey north with some stops at some of my favorite spots in the Loreto area. I reach San Juanico, where I wait for a weather window to do the 90-mile solo trip across the Gulf of California over to San Carlos on the mainland of Mexico, where we will store Sea Dream of Clyde for the summer. After a challenging sail across, I prepare the boat for summer storage, have it hauled out, then hit the road north back to Canada. Thanks for watching Sailing Sea Dream of Clyde. If you enjoy these videos, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and leave a comment too. We love reading them. If you love these videos, check out our Patreon page via the link in the description. There, you can directly support the making of these videos while also getting access to exclusive Sailing Sea Dream of Clyde content for as little as $2 a month. Bye for now!